New York Mets fans, after the acquisition of Luis Robert Jr., the New York Mets are far from done this offseason. Told you guys, stay patient, stay with me. Since the end of October, the New York Mets and David Stearns have a lot of work to do, and they have done a lot of good so far. Before we get into this video where I'm going to break down the New York Mets attempting to acquire ace Freddie Peralta from the Milwaukee Brewers, I have exactly what the Brewers are asking the Mets for, what they've asked the Mets for in the past, and then what I think the Mets should be willing to give up in that deal. I'm going to run down some of the Mets' top prospects that they have so I could show you some of the guys that they might be able to acquire. Want to also talk about what the next step is for the Mets if they don't land Peralta, if they want to grab another outfielder. It's all going to be in this video. But first, guys, share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff so we could get this channel rolling. Thank you guys for clicking onto this video. Let's get started right away, right? New York Mets have acquired Luis Robert Jr. Late last night, I put a video out about who they gave up, Luis Angel Acuna and Truman. I forgot the guy's name. But nobody of any importance. Okay, Luis Angel Acuna last year had a very low barrel rate. People are trying to say, "Oh, Luis Angel Acuna is going to be this great star." He had 41 hits last year. 24 of them were infield hits. Only one extra base hit after May 4th. The guy does not put barrel to ball. He is not going to be missed. I promise you guys that. Good base runner, very, very good base runner. Come in late, defensive replacement late in games. He can give you that. The White Sox will enjoy that low barrel rate. He will not turn into anything special. I will eat crow if that's the case. The other guy, Truman Pauly, the Mets just drafted him this year. No one's going to care too much who that guy is for another 4 to 5 years. Don't want to hear any Mets fan complaining about that. So let's get into the New York Mets. It just came out last night what the New York Mets were talking to the Milwaukee Brewers. It's no surprise. The Mets, Yankees, Padres, a lot of teams are involved in the Freddie Peralta sweepstakes. It is no surprise that the first thing that the Milwaukee Brewers asked for was Jonah Tong. As Michael Moreno states here, Jonah Tong's name briefly came up in talks with the Brewers about Freddie Peralta before the Mets quickly ended that discussion. Thank you, David Stearns. The Brewers have since submitted an offer of Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams for Freddie Peralta. The Mets have been unwilling to pay that price, and I completely agree with David Stearns here. Now, if you're looking at Brandon Sproat, you're looking at Jet Williams. Jet Williams is the Mets' second best position player prospect. Brandon Sproat is the Mets' number 3. If you want to consider McLean a prospect still, I guess you could do that. Brandon Sproat is considered the third best pitching prospect for the New York Mets. Both of these guys are in the Mets' top 5. I am not giving that away for Freddie Peralta. I'm very sorry. I don't know if you're a Mets fan and you want to do it. I'm not ready to give that deal away. You want to talk Tyreek Skubal now? That's a completely different conversation that we could have regarding Skubal. That's a different conversation we could have for an ace of that nature, but I'm not going to have that conversation when it comes to a guy like Freddie Peralta. And I love Freddie Peralta as a pitcher. Came up with the Brewers, with David Stearns, a lot of familiarity there. This is the type of player in Freddie Peralta that I'd be very much for the Mets getting. So let's get into the stats. This is why everybody's chasing Freddie Peralta, right? Everybody's chasing Freddie Peralta for this specific reason. He's an ace of a staff, gives you a lot of innings, and he goes, no, not the innings so much, but he gives you 100, 176, 173, 165 over the last 3 years. So when you look, now I'm fooled by saying he gives you a lot of innings. I've seen a lot of shit over the last couple of years with the New York Mets starting pitching staff. This is a lot of innings to me. Okay, this is a ton of innings to me. This averages about to 5.1, 5.2 innings per start. To me, that's a lot of innings because of what I've watched from the New York Mets over the last couple of seasons. All-Star last year in 2025, 2.7 ERA, 33 starts. These last 3 seasons is exactly why the Mets could use a guy like Freddie Peralta. 30 starts, 32 starts, 33 starts, all in consecutive seasons. That is tremendous for Peralta. The strikeout rate is out of this world. 104 Ks in 176 innings, 200 strikeouts in 173. In the year before that, 210 in 166. What he has to do, the pitch count sometimes can get a little much. So if you want to get Freddie Peralta, you're getting an ace. What am I giving away for Freddie Peralta is a completely different story. I am not giving away everything in the farm system just to acquire this guy. I love Freddie Peralta as much as the next guy, but I'm not giving away guys just to give them away. I can't do that. I wouldn't feel good about them. I wouldn't feel good about Stearns and the Mets if they decided to just go all in and give out 2 of their top 4 prospects for Freddie Peralta, who's a rental. I don't want to go that route. I think the Mets are handling this just fine. If another team wants to give away 2 of their top 3 or 4 prospects for Freddie Peralta, who is a rental, if Peralta was going to be here for 4 more seasons, 3 or 4 more seasons, I'll have that conversation for those top prospects. Other than that, I can't fault David Stearns and the Mets here for first turning down a Jonah Tong deal involving Freddie Peralta and then turning down the Williams Brandon Sproat deal that would get them Freddie Peralta. I can't fault the Mets for that because, in a sense, if you want to keep this hope alive, the Mets are going to need possibly these prospects to acquire a guy like Tyreek Skubal. The Mets can acquire and take on Tyreek Skubal. Even if he wins that arbitration case where he's going to make $32 million, that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. That's going to be very telling what the Detroit Tigers and Tyreek Skubal's camp are going to try and put something together to get him to a certain destination. The Mets have the pieces. The Mets have the prospects. The Mets have the money to acquire him. So I would love to save those prospects for a guy like Skubal if that's the case. If not, let another team go after Peralta. Let them pay the price. Because as of right now, it seems like a lot of teams aren't willing to pay the price to get Peralta. I think the Mets can offer the best package to get Freddie Peralta, exactly what the Brewers want. And I think at the end of the day, if you gave me an odds thing, I think there's a more than 50% chance the Mets do wind up trading for Peralta with the familiarity with David Stearns. I think it's a win-win for both sides. Now, I want to get into the Mets. I want to show you guys the Mets prospect list because this is very interesting in terms of This is very interesting right here. So, like I showed you guys before, right? They still have Nolan McLean. He's still the prospect, yeah. So, Carson Bench is untradeable unless it's a deal for maybe a Fernando Tatis, somebody along those lines. Right now, the Brewers are asking for Jet Williams, and they're asking for Brandon Sproat. You see that as number 3, and that is number 5 in the Mets farm system. That would be 2 of the top 5 pitchers for the Mets in their farm system for a rental pitcher that you don't know is going to re-sign next year. And he'll be going into his age 30 season. I'm not ready to give that up. I'm not ready to just give that up for Peralta. Then you have other guys that could be considered like a Ryan Clifford and A.J. Ewing. It seems like the Mets want to stay in this area when it comes to trading for Peralta, and I'm talking the 11 through 25 area. Now, you see the Mets are very, very deep in their farm system. Santucci's a very highly rated prospect. Jack Weniger is a highly rated. Will Watson, Mitch Voigt, who they just drafted last year. I mean, there's a ton, Elian Pena. They have a very, very deep farm system that could get a lot of deals done. If you guys have any time, look at the Mets farm system, look at the prospects they have. They have the ability to get any deal that they want done. And this is why it was so important for me as a Mets fan to get rid of, and I hate going back to this, but it has to be said sometimes, the flexibility that the Mets have now moving forward over the next 4, 5, 6 seasons, getting rid of that Nimmo contract, which at the end was going to be a complete disaster, not having Alonso here in year 4 and 5, not knowing what you're going to get out of him playing defense at first base, probably going to be a DH at that time. No other team wanted to give him more than 3 years anyway, but it has to just be repeated. It has to be repeated sometimes that what David Stearns has done here has given the Mets so much flexibility moving forward from years 2026 and beyond. Okay? That Nimmo contract was going to be a complete disaster at the end of it. He would have not been able to play any position in the outfield. He probably would have had to DH. Then you're going to have Alonso here in year 4 and 5 that everybody wanted. He would have had to DH because he can't play first base now. So you have so much flexibility now with the roster, with the payroll, short-term deals that open you up to any trade that you want and any free agent that you want. That's why I'm so excited about the direction of the team. They have one of the best farm systems in all of baseball. Whatever trade David Stearns wants to make happen, he can make happen. And it's not a matter of requiring money. They just did that with Luis Robert. It's not a matter of requiring money that they took back in the Marcus Semien deal, which is going to be only 2 or 3 more years after this. The flexibility that the Mets have now moving forward is tremendous for this franchise. That's why I'm so excited about it. So getting Freddie Peralta in here, getting a Framar Valdez on a short-term deal, that could be the option. Who do you guys want the Mets to bring in? It seems like the now that we got rid of the Bellingers, we got rid of Tucker, the Bo Bichettes, we got rid of Suarez, we got rid of a lot of guys on the market. It seems like it's going to be picking up, especially in the trade market. So who do you guys want? Let me know down below. If you guys got this far, share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok, guys. I'll catch you on the next video. Let's go Mets.